Seeing that was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, what a wonderful voice and great lyrics. All right, so my message this morning is through the prism of God's love. And it is we continue with Centers for Spiritual Living's idea that we'll all be doing the same things together. And when they announced that, and they announced February might be open, and I knew that it was Discovering Your Spiritual Magnificence, I chose this. This is the one I wrote. So you would think I would, yeah, this is the one I wrote. So you would think that I don't need any notes this morning, but I really need notes because I've got such great things for you. But anyway, through the prism of God's love, and I want to start with something funny. Um, a woman, an elderly woman, came into a great big church, and the usher said, "Where would you like to seat, ma'am?" And she said, "I want to sit in the very front row." And the usher said, "Oh, ma'am, our minister is a little boring. I think maybe you'd be better off a little further back than the front." She said, "Do you know who I am? The minister is my son." And the usher, being very quick-witted, said, "Do you know who I am?" And she said, "No, I don't." He left. He said, "Oh, good," and left. So, so I say that by way of my uncle is here today, my dad's brother and his wife, Tom and Judy Clark. So wave at us so they know who you are. From Salt Spring Island and British Columbia, trying to say Saskatchewan, of course that isn't where they're from, in British Columbia, and very happy that you're here this morning. So, okay, through the prism of God's love, and just continuing that, Tom and I our families weren't very close, which there's a story, but anyway, we didn't see each other much as kids. And of course, he's only a couple years older than me, so it was always cool for me. My uncle is like 2 years older. How cool is this? And, but we didn't get to see each other, and then over the years had lost touch. But because they've taken the initiative and they come traveling quite often in the winter, I've seen them in the last few years several times. I'm so grateful. So of course I've been invited to Salt Spring Island, and maybe I will take them up on that one nice summer in the summer sometime. Okay, through the prism of God's love. So this comes from Ernest Holmes' quote on page 131 of the textbook. Through the prism of God's love, I recognize the oneness of God and man. So in other words, when I'm looking through the eyes of love, what I see is that we're one. What I see is that not only am I unified with God, but I'm unified with each other human being and all other beings as well. So through the prism of God's love is a way to perceive life that is healthy-minded. And what better day to do that than Valentine's Day? So happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And, and I know that some people aren't here, and I know that some people aren't here because they didn't want to hear a Valentine's message. Some people aren't here because they don't have a Valentine. And Rhonda spoke about that beautifully in her blog. We can be our own Valentine. In fact, that's the first one we ought to be our own Valentine. Anyway, and some people are taking their Valentines to an early brunch. Okay, the history of Valentine's Day, it's really important because it doesn't really have much to do with lovers. The history is Emperor Claudius, decided to make marriages illegal. And he did that not because of anything except he wanted the young men to be available for the army, to serve in the army. And so he made them illegal. And the person that was later to become Saint Valentine secretly married these young couples. And he was, in those this was 3rd century. In those early years, Christians weren't very safe to be Christians. And he was imprisoned, and he was sentenced to a very brutal death, which was common. But while he was awaiting death, the jailer asked if he would please look after and teach his daughter who was blind. And he said that he would gladly do that because he was educated. And so he was teaching. He taught the daughter to read, and in addition to that, he healed her blindness. And and in those, Jesus said, "These things and greater ye will do." It was common for those early apostles, the early disciples, the people that took the message out, to actually heal. And that's what he did. And asked if he could send a note, because now she could read, and signed it, "Your Valentine." The first Valentines came from a jailer to a young woman that he had tutored, who had taught her to read. And so it was a gift of friendship. Although he was kind of connected with lovers because he helped them get married, but he wasn't the lover. Our principle is we see a world in which unity with God and connection with each other is emphasized. Unity with God and connection with each other is emphasized. So my friend David Alt, who's the minister at the Atlanta Center, which is a great center, wrote this on his Facebook page last night. It's a personal ad from God, and I know you could say it's his profile if you're doing an online dating thing. And here's what it says: "Long walks on the beach are fine, but I'm willing to go anywhere with you, to your job, to the supermarket, to babysit your grandkids. Am content to tag along as you do laundry, file the taxes, or keep your chemotherapy appointment. Any ethnicity will do. I don't care. I feel we are the same anyway. Your economic background does not in any way influence my desire to be with you. Am well traveled, been everywhere, literally, and would be happy to share those adventures with you if you like. I have an ability to see beyond surface conditions and am not influenced by the opinions of others. Therefore, I'm readily willing to accept your physical body just the way it is and just the way it is not, and even love and appreciate it. Hopefully, I can guide you to do the same thing. Of course, I would love it if you acknowledged my handiwork from time to time. I'm pretty great in the creative department, and I will neither judge you nor abandon you if you get too busy to notice. I'm keenly aware of your creativity also. Any hesitancy or fear you have concerning the expression of it, well, I can help you with that if you like. I am not at all threatened by your growth or by the growth of or your success. In fact, I thrive on it. I am your biggest cheerleader. I do not care about your past. When I say I don't care, it doesn't mean I fail to honor your journey and all the things you have accomplished. I am simply not interested in your mistakes, be they extensive or small. What I am saying with all this is that I am looking for a long-term relationship and yet totally willing to go at the pace and level you are comfortable with. I'm available 24/7, and my support and belief in you knows no boundaries, no restrictions. Give the two of us a chance. I guarantee you will not regret it. Signed, God, or Source, or Universal Energy, or Divine Intelligence. Each one of us has that invitation. We already have that invitation. Are we willing to open our hearts? Because, see, it's first to God, first to that intelligence, and then outward to others. First to that and inward to self. So there's one life, and that life is the life of God. So a lot of this is about learning to love ourselves. Self-acceptance is the ability to love yourself unconditionally, no matter what flaws and traits exist. Just as God's letter said, just the way you are and just the way you are not, that you are loved. And those of you who have Louise Hay's daily calendar know that what she said today, this morning, is I love you. I really love you. You are the joy in my life. Go to the mirror and say that. I love you. I really, really love you. You are the joy in my life. It has to start there. It has to start with you to you so that you can love the others in your world. Okay, you know I had to quote this. My favorite quote, page 299 of the textbook. But I want to get the whole quote because it's so good. And the rest of it is, it is a law that the man who sees what he wants to see, regardless of what appears, will someday experience in the outer what he has so faithfully seen in the within. From selfish reasons alone, if from no loftier reason we can afford to find fault, to hate, or even to hold in mind anything against any living soul. The God of love cannot hear the prayer of the one who fails to love. Ernest Holmes, my favorite quote. The God of love cannot fail to hear the prayer of the one who fails to love. You are blocking your own good by failing to love. You're blocking your own demonstrations, your own manifestations by not loving, by finding fault. I got an email last night. Well, it wasn't an email, it was a message. And I kept seeing that there was a message and it was hidden, which means that the person who messaged me is not a friend, not one of my Facebook friends. Little social media quiz there. Anyway, I thought, well, I should at least look and see who it is. It was a long, long, long message from one of the people that used to attend our center way before we moved here. And she said she doesn't come anymore because her feelings were hurt because someone didn't want to sit beside her. What? What? The God of love does not hear the prayer of the one who fails to love. You're responsible for your feelings. Refuse to have them hurt. Refuse to have your feelings hurt. Refuse to be misunderstood or to misunderstand. Make a decision because we know that God is the God of love. So Amy Beale is a woman who actually was from the Newport area and high school. Then she went to university in Stanford. And after university, she was guided to go to South Africa. Now, if you look at the date, 1994, there was a whole lot of unrest in South Africa. What was she going there for? She was going there to help the blacks talk to the whites. She was going there to be part of the solution. She was so passionate about the end of apartheid. And she was there for 8 months, and she was killed, murdered on purpose because she was white. This gang of black kids, and their motto was one white, one bullet. And it was because, remember how horribly they'd been treated. Nevertheless, can you imagine forgiving the loss? And I don't know if this was their only daughter, but it was their daughter, their young daughter that was brilliant and had her whole life in front of her. That she also had been accepted for her master's, I think, into Rutgers. She had just graduated from Stanford and was part of the top 10%. Brilliant young woman with her whole life. But her parents decided they wouldn't hate. They both went to South Africa and they started the Amy Beale Foundation, which is a foundation dedicated to reconciliation, to learning, to education. Now, you know, someone didn't want to sit by you and you hold it for 6 years. It pales in comparison, but I'm We all have our reasons for not forgiving. If I only knew what they did to you, I would say, yes, keep your hatred. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because your lack of forgiveness doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. It hurts you. So today, Valentine's Day, what a great day to make a decision. As Rosen says, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Let this be the last of it that you've done. That let your life stand for what you've come here to do, to be love. Take responsibility. You're the only one who is in charge of your words, in charge of your thoughts. And you can choose better ones. You can choose loving ones. You can choose reconciliation. So the whole world is your friend. The whole world is your friend. I came across, as I was researching this, a long poem that I want to share with you this morning. I have to read it. I could not memorize it. It's too long. It comes from the Catholic tradition. So Kimberly Edwards is a woman who writes beautiful prayers for the Catholic Church. And this is one of them. And I think what we can learn is that we're not the only ones that think this way. Because here's what she said: God, I find myself heartbroken by the hatred I see all around me. So I ask that I may never forget that behind every brown, yellow, red, black, or white face, there is a family just like mine, and souls trying to live in a world that often tells them that they are less than or unworthy. Silence that they are not wanted. May I never lose sight of the soul behind each face, the souls of your children. That behind every homeless person, there is a story that may be so familiar to me to be uncomfortable. May I never be comfortable until there is no more homeless faces seeking a kind word or an opportunity or just a smile and a little love. That I never forget the truth of your gospel, that storing up riches here, withholding from others, and out of some misguided sense of superiority or right to judge, that treating any one of your children as unworthy to come to your table is not the Christian love you came to teach us. That I count as treasures the friends who stand beside me, encouraging, loving, supporting, and accepting me through word and deed. Sometimes just being available, sometimes through prayer, sometimes through sacrifice on their own. Let me never take them for granted and always see them as the blessing you meant them to be, and do my very best to love them as well as they have loved me. That I see actions or hear words that mean harm to the other, to never stand still or be quiet in the face of injustice, cruelty, racism, or call out behavior that seems to harm my neighbor, to always see in each face the potential of a child of God, no matter how I might disagree with their manner or actions, to protect those who are being shunned, criticized, or even threatened because they are considered different. That I appreciate the love and devotion shown to me by my pets, the unconditional adoration that radiates from the soul of our animal friends is surely sent from heaven through souls that speak a different language, one of complete acceptance. It is no small thing for an animal to love a person. May I always remember those gone on to you to await our reunion, that I see and cherish each small blessing, from a spontaneous hug given by a grandchild to a moment of clarity when I realize that my grown children love and understand me despite my obvious imperfections, a gesture or look from a husband that shows devotion and commitment each day, an unexpected phone call or card from someone reminding me that I matter, to the sunset, birdsong, moonlight, joyous bark, or laugh that sweeten my life. that I never find myself so blinded by my illness or difficulties that I forget those around me and around the world who hurt, hunger, shiver, grieve, and strive for rights denied them by oppression and greed. That I take away every opportunity to let the wonders of your I take every opportunity to let the wonders of your creation heal and uplift me, knowing that something as simple as sunshine on my face, sand and waves under my feet, regal treetop canopies, a bird in flight, or the beauty of those horses galloping across a field can be proof of your love for your world. That I always, always remember that color, creed, faith or none, accent, sex, age, language, dress, orientation, hairstyle, home, or financial status has not one thing to do with the worth of anyone, to you and to follow your example. That above all, the chaos and upset in this world, you gave us the greatest gift the world has ever known. You loved us then, and you love us now that much. May we all continue to grow and journey toward the greatest you we can be for you and because of you. That I do all I can to give my children and grandchildren an example of the power and light of your love in my life. That I always do my very best to be a light in your world, to honor and respect each individual I meet, no matter our differences, that I grow into the person you wish me to be. Amen. Kimberly Edwards. Pretty good. Huh? Yeah, yeah. So just before we come to a conclusion, I would like all of us to contemplate those places where we could simply be more loving. We could be more in alignment with the truth of God. We could let go of the petty misunderstandings. We could let go of the fault finding and the finger pointing and accept the greatness, the love that each one is. Reverend Arpad had you do this in his prayer, and I invite you again, put your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. In meditation this morning, we played Suze Ogden's song, God's the Love That I Am. And I want you to just take a moment and say those words aloud with me. God's the love that I am. Once more. God's the love that I am. It's true. God is the love that you are. And you are the love that God is. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray. And Jules isn't going to sing first like Diane usually does. But he could, but he said, I didn't tell him he was going to, so no, it's all right. Okay. Okay, so let's just turn our energy within. In this holy, holy moment of now, I remind myself that every rabbi, every minister, every priest, every shaman, all beings that acknowledge the one power, the one spirit, are today or yesterday or sometime giving their gifts, shining their light for all of their community to see, knowing that there is only one light to shine, and it shines brightly right here in this very room. I speak my word for each one of us. And I invite everyone that if there's something you disagree with, just let it pass on by and take the rest. Take it in, let it heal you, let it reveal the truth of you. I speak it in the first person. I know that God is all there is, and that this one shines through me, through my actions, through my words, through my thoughts, that its nature is love, and it's the most magnificent thing there is. I know that I know how to forgive, and I do so right here, immediately, right this moment. I withhold nothing, no, no blame, no criticism, nothing comes from God, and so none of it comes from me. I allow this healing power to transform me, to lift me up. And I invite it to heal my physical body, which I know God can do and does do. That every cell, every tissue, every function, every fiber is in perfect alignment with the love that it is. That every cell is blessed and is a blessing. I know that there's a pattern of wholeness in my physical body that is perfect, whole, and complete, and I accept that pattern now as being my experience. I know that this results in ease of movement and grace and vitality and energy and aliveness. For indeed, I am ageless being. I am timeless mind. What I know is that all of my actions are filled with love, filled with connection, caring, compassion. Even those I do not understand, I have compassion for. And I grow that compassion today. So, in a greater way than ever before, I am freed. Many of the stuck places, I know my words are power because I am one with the divine presence and it flows through me always. I know that it flows through my finances, through my abundance, and that abundance is certain and powerful and growing because that is the nature of infinite mind, of God's life. And so I learn to continuously receive, to continuously give. I keep my heart and my consciousness open to be even greater and even more than I've ever been before. I speak with this word that I am the creative expression of the one. Doesn't matter my age, my occupation, that I am here to express the divine. And I do so every moment of every day. I do so in my work that I'm compensated for. I do so in my play, whether I'm compensated or not. All of it is an expression of the divine, and it's good. I easily give my gifts, confidently give them, because I know it's God in me that's doing the work. And I know that I am my own Valentine first and foremost. I know I love myself in a greater way than ever before. I've set myself free. My heart is open. It is all good. It is all God. I'm very grateful that this is so. I'm grateful for the friends here today, for all of the Valentines that are here by their attendance, and all of the ones that are here in spirit. And I bless each and every one who've ever been in this center, whether they chose to leave by a hurt or not. And I invite them all back. Come, come, come. I know it's good and very good, and so I'm blessed. I'm blessed in this moment. And I know each one of us is that blessing. So I simply release this word with such joy. I just place it into the law, the way God works. It's complete. So please help me to anchor it by saying with me, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Jules. And now I invite back to the platform, Seeing.